Waiting for us to get live. We're we're about to be live. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Let's see. Are we live? Testing, testing. Yay. Okay. I always have to hear my own voice, and that's how I know that, okay, we're good. Hello, welcome to the masterclass. I'm Yvette, your host. Let's get into it. Today, we're talking about all the mistakes I made as a new mompreneur so that you can hopefully avoid those mistakes. If you're already in the thick of it and you are trying to find balance as, a business owner and a mother, then you'll still get a lot of value from this conversation. And if you have any questions, please feel free to chime in and just throw those in the chat. Other than that, I think maybe you might resonate with some of what I'm saying. Maybe you've been here too, and we can commiserate. Just kidding, we're not going to commiserate. We're definitely gonna we're gonna see ourselves on the other side of this, and I'm going to share with you pretty much how I found balance, and I was able to really find the joy in the balance, not the struggle of the juggle, but the joy in the balance of business and babies. And my kids are now toddler and beyond. So I know that, it took me some time, especially as a mother of two boys under two, to find this out, to realize, like, okay, what does this take? What does it take to find balance? And I'll share with you how, while I was still with two boys under 2 years old, um, finding that balance and realizing, okay, well, this is what it takes. This is where the shift needed to happen. So let me get at my notes and we can get started. But yeah, as far as toddlers and beyond, I have two bonus daughters, and then I have two sons that are 6 and under. So 4 and 6. And so my experience has definitely been shaped by that. And you know, I'll tell you what my breaking point was. I think that's a good starting point. Because my breaking point, I remember it clear as day. Because I was just running errands, and I remember there was like this dark cloud over me, and I was like, what is that? I couldn't break free from it. And I know I left my sons at home with my then husband, their dad, and I knew they were safe and comfortable and happy and all that. But I was running errands, and I pull over to the side of the road, and I just start bawling. I'm breaking down. And I remember hiring a gardener that day, a brand new gardener who was going to like alleviate so much stress, because it's like, oh, he's going to handle it. And I think there was like a lightening of my load. I was realizing, like, oh man, that felt so good to like let that go. Um, but it was, yeah, some random day, some random afternoon. I pulled over to the side of the road and I called my primary physician. So I called my primary and said, I'm having a breakdown, a mental breakdown. And I think I'm on the verge of a panic attack. And in my experience as a younger girl in college, I had a panic attack so severe, and this was maybe like a couple in the making, but so severe that I had a blackout. So I blacked out from this panic attack. It was on the eve of a stats exam, and I was studying, and statistics was just not my thing because I just did not find the lectures didn't resonate. The subject went totally over my head, and I think I was refusing to take it in because I was at that point in my mind, in my life, considering, do I really want to go the business route? Like, is business for me if it's so much about math and I'm not good at math? Well, I will tell you just briefly to sum that little story up. After the blackout, I took on some lifestyle changes, and that included yoga and meditation and mindfulness and things that slowed me down and really had me recognize, like, okay, this is not gonna make or break you. Even if you failed this class and had to take it over, that's not gonna make or break you. You're not gonna be the bum on the street that you think you will be if you fail this class and flunk out of college, all these ideas. And anyway, That didn't happen. I actually graduated, and that turned my whole world around because I pretty much I had B's and A's in my all my math classes from then on out. So that is totally a success story. Me who doesn't think or didn't think that she was good at math actually like found joy and pleasure in economics and learning about options and finance and accounting. I mean, I was excelling to the point where now I feel very comfortable talking about finance and I get it, the finance game and investing and things like that, banking. It all makes sense to me. And it took that moment to be like, Yvette, what's going on here? What are your thoughts? How are your thoughts controlling what you really ultimately believe about yourself? And this leads me to that moment right there, breaking down in the car, crying to my physician, like hyperventilating. Again, it was very reminiscent of that time, studying and pretty much fainting and blacking out and waking up to my roommates on, hovering over me like about to call 911. And they told the dispatch like she's okay, and I said hang up, I'm fine. And so no, we're the crisis averted. But anyway, this new crisis as a new mom um was like, I don't know how to handle this. What do I do? And so immediately things were brought to my attention about, oh, you have an anxiety disorder, a chemical imbalance. You need to get on medication for depression, postpartum depression, because that was a diagnosis. And I recognized like, okay, yeah, okay, thank you for that. And in that moment, I definitely took the advice and I set up the appointments and got the what's the like the nurse, the mental health line nurse, talking me through things and feeling a lot better by the time I was able to pull out and get back to driving and finishing my day. Uh, I didn't end up getting the prescription filled. I didn't go down that route of thinking I had an anxiety disorder because it was a belief I didn't want to take on and identify as. This actually brings me to some of the points that I want to make as far as what are the mistakes that I made as a new mompreneur. So imagine, right? Two boys under two. I'm brand new to this idea of kind of ultimately really juggling motherhood and business because I was an entrepreneur before I was a mother. Entrepreneur, able to throw spaghetti at the wall, see if it's stuck, and like fly by the seat of my pants and go on a whim and do all the networking events and fly to the conferences and do all the things. That was my life. I had one, then I had my first baby boy, and that was still manageable. I was still doing all the things, managing my schedule around him, pulling him while I was nursing him onto my calls, my coaching calls, and everything was all good. My clients, even I wasn't only, I was a co-ed coach back then. Right now, I'm particular about coaching other mompreneurs. But I was a co-ed coach. I was having men and women in there, and nobody found any fault. And granted, this was 2020, so I think we all understood the Zoom game, and we were all we get it, like life is happening, right? So I definitely leaned into that. But even beyond that, like still, nursing on calls, and I still know that I had to bring my mom life in and normalize that as part of who I am now. So that my clients could. And so I definitely wanted to lead by example. And I knew that in this moment, I was going through an identity crisis. I recognized that life was no longer as it was before. And I had to create a new normal. I had to get deliberate about creating a new normal, and one that included me as mother, and that it was okay. That even though I feel like, oh, well, I'm a mother now and unable to give all of my time to my business and my social life and all the ambition I wanted, right? In the degree that I wanted. You could still give into your ambition for sure. Please definitely follow that gut instinct to move towards your dreams and your goals and your passion in life. But I was no longer that girl, but now I'm this mother, but I still had all the credit behind me, right? All the acclaim, all the accolades, all the success, but it didn't matter in that moment. I was kind of a nobody. I was like, who am I, right? What does it matter what I have to say? How do I how do I go out into this world and try to do anything? And I have these two babies at home that rely on me. I felt out of my element, a fish out of water. And that leads me to the first mistake that I made. So I'm still running the same business that I was back then. So I started my business back in 2014, really before that, but it became the declutterist. I became the declutterist, helping people declutter their minds all over the world in 2014 officially. And so I'm still running that business. And so there have been like evolutions of that business. And it's really beautiful to like look back and see. And I'm very proud of that. And I had to I had to remember that. I had to remind myself that, hey, this you've come through a lot. And actually things kind of are going like this, and they're still probably going to go like this, but this isn't a roller coaster. It doesn't have to be an emotional roller coaster. It can be just the ebb and flow of life, as long as you maintain the balance and you're able to look at it as such. Like, okay, this is the flow of my new life, my new normal. Um, my biggest mistake, though, was I think comparing myself to other moms. So I knew that I was off, right? I didn't have it all together. And so looking at other moms or other kids and comparing myself to those moms, my kids to those kids, and thinking, okay, something's not right, was my biggest mistake, I would say, because I am trying to do the best for my kids. I definitely want them to have a leg up in life because of the work I put in my lifetime. So I want to give them better than I had before. And granted, my parents gave me a leg up, right? And from there, I want them to have even more of a leg up than that. Like just we're climbing the ranks here, in all figures of speech. And so I want that for them. Now, when you start comparing, you're going to look at everybody else who's all different walks of life, all different shapes, sizes, colors, backgrounds, um, unfair advantages, right? That I maybe don't have. I don't come to the table with those things. Like we were, I would say, middle class-ish, but didn't, it's not high middle class. Like we definitely were, doing okay. But I aspired to more, right? I think at any point where there's always kind of this aspiration for more and like different, and not at the fault of our parents because they gave me a good life, right? I feel like I didn't want for anything. We traveled, like we had those summer vacations that you want to give your kids, like we had those. Granted, they were with my cousins, not my siblings. Like I was closer to my cousins and my siblings at the time. And so it would be like my cousins, my favorite cousins would go with me on these trips. And I think my older siblings thought they were too cool. And so, I was down. I was down to go travel the world. And it definitely got my travel bug going, because we would go domestic to these little trips, Grand Canyon, and things like that, and Lake Tahoe. So not super crazy trips, but like fun, decent. And to Mexico, like fun. And anyway, that got me like, okay, well, this is showing me so much more, and I want more in the world. And so that kind of got me there. And so I would say that was a leg up, right? That exposure to travel and taking a plane somewhere or taking a cruise somewhere. And so imagine, right, that what might want to give my kids, right? I want to go overseas and to Australia, the other side of the world with my boys. So thinking of that, I'm like, okay, if I look at other people already maybe taking those trips, and granted, my kids were little at the time. That was like my ideal to still travel with these babies and like nurse them on the plane. And we did do that. And I was nursing my sons on a plane to Hawaii, but I wanted even more than that, right? More adventures, more of that. But like, we were pacing ourselves. I felt like it was a lot to take that on. Eventually I was like, let's lower our threshold for happiness as far as like lowering my expectations on myself and the demands I place on myself. So I definitely slowed down a lot. And so the trips were just fun things to the park and to have adventures with friends and parties and things that got really manageable. And so while I saw all these other parents traveling all across the world with these little babies in tow, I was like, not so much. We did Hawaii. I thought that was great. We did Northern California. We did Portland. Like we did little travel trips. And but they weren't like the overseas thing that I thought, oh, I would be carrying my baby in a carrier on my chest and we'd be walking around Melbourne or something like that, or Sydney, because I really want to, I have this like dream to go to Australia. So that was like in my head. And if I saw their parents doing it, I was like, oh, why aren't we doing it? And that's just one example of how we might compare ourselves to other families and not as if it's like you're judging them, but you're comparing yourself and therefore judging yourself for not having those experiences right now at the ready, doing all that. The planning of such a trip would have taken me so far out of my mental bandwidth and my mental game. The game I was playing really, it was just making a home and making things stable and life really good and pleasant and wholesome for my boys that I was able to achieve. That I feel really, really proud of. And that extends to this day because we set that foundation. And when I recognized that this maybe brings me to my second mistake, which was I didn't get clear on my priorities fast enough. I wish I kind of went into motherhood like brand new baby, here are my priorities. I had that clarity around like what's most important right now. I would have not probably even compared myself to the jet setting moms. I would have recognized like, oh, I'm in my own lane. This is absolutely the most important to me. Healthy, wholesome, happy home, happy childhood, healthy diet and nutrition and balance and fun and things like that. That was set and that is stable. And that is definitely like the foundation that we still work from, right? It always falls back on that. Now imagine if I was just always after the jet setting lifestyle the minute we started kindergarten and it wasn't all about that because maybe you don't want to take them out of school or their schedules are off, right? One kid is still in school, one kid's not. Or I mean right now I like the idea of homeschooling my sons because I do get to jet set and go off and they're still in school because they're with me. But that's still evolving. I mean, he's only 6. He hasn't even started first grade yet. But these are the kind of things that when you recognize, like, oh, these are my priorities, and my priorities are absolutely in play, then there is no problem, right? There's no issue of comparing yourself to somebody else. You know that your time will come for those things, and actually, you might even be better off waiting in considering your goals, you might be better off waiting for those kind of like those manifestations to happen. And I mean, God really knows all. I was just telling my son the other day, God doesn't answer my prayers. I said, actually, God answers all of your prayers. He listens to you. He answers all of your prayers. And you may not think the timing is immediate, like fast enough or something like that, but God knows when the right time is for you. As long as we stay clear on our priorities, we stay clear on our vision, right? How that goal is an actual stepping stone to the ultimate vision, like where you want to be in your life at the end of the day, on your deathbed, like this is how I want to feel, right? That's the vision. Like I did everything. I did everything. I left nothing on the table. I gave all of me to life. I went full out on living my life to the fullest and I fulfilled my dreams and I have no regrets. And my all my family's around me and there nobody's resentful. We're not um angry, right? Because we have clear communication, we're open and honest, we trust each other, like ultimate goal in my life, ultimate vision. And so that clarity points the way for me every single time. And I wanted him, my son, to know that that's what matters, right? When we're clear on our goal, God is like, okay, say less. Let's do this. Let's do it, right? Let's go. And I'm behind you 100% of the way, right? God is like, not only am I making the way and making it clear for you, now that we got that all resolved and you see with clarity and clear eyes that this is what you want for yourself and how like you've embodied this goal because you can feel it. Like when something resonates, you're like, oh yeah, this is for me. This is my path forward. Not only is he ahead of us, making a way with us, co-creating, but he's behind us, like giving us momentum at our back and like being the wind that makes it so effortless and easy. And I would say that was definitely a mistake, not getting that clearer sooner. And so this is why I've become a thought partner with my mompreneur clients because I want them to know, like kind of like I helped my son kind of see the truth for what it was, or just realign his truth with my truth, right? Because what I want him to know about life that God is always there for you, no matter what. I'm always going to be there for you, right? And I love you no matter what. Like these are the truths we're kind of like we're going with and we're establishing for him. I This is what I want my clients to know, that it's not all hustle hustle go go do, but that there's actually an effortlessness in entrepreneurship. And when you tap in and you hone it, oh, sky's the limit. And not even sky's the limit. I heard my current mentor right now, she says there is no limit, and I love that even better. There is no limit. So just there is no limit. You can have whatever it is that you want. You can have it all. And and you can find the balance for all your priorities in equal measure. And so what I like to work with my mompreneur clients on is finding those priorities. Getting super crystal clear on them. What is it that matters most to you right now in this season of life? You're not going to be in the same season of life 2, 3 months from now. When that child turns, 4, things are going to change. When that child turns 5, things are going to be drastically different. When that child turns 6, drastically different. I mean, and I say drastic because they're evolving so much and they bring so much demand to the table as far as your attention, your presence, or your bandwidth, right? They demand so much. And then so does your self-care, right? As you start to maybe wean yourself away from the demand that your kids have on you, and you start to see that they're more self-sufficient. And so I can step away more often and I can leave them to their own devices and they're safe and healthy, happy, whole, and I'm in the other room. You'll start to see like, okay, my self-care capacity is starting to increase. And then things like your business and what you're going to give to your business, what your business demands of you, what your business needs from you right now to level up there, right? To scale, to bring more clients in, to handle more money, more revenue. And what does that mean? How do you handle your revenue? Where do you put it, right? How do you spend it? These are all questions that can be balanced, and you can feel like they are balanced and you are whole in each of them, that you're not failing at one just because you've got your eyes more so on one, because you're going to have purview over them all perfectly when you know what it is within each vertical, within each category that you want to have, right? The purview over which you want to be there. That you want to have over those different categories. And then also gives you the ideas of like, who can I hire out? Who can I delegate? What can I do? I know a lot of parents, like when they have the older siblings, they might delegate a lot of the child care to that kid. Like, go watch your sister. Go make sure so and so's safe on the slide. Go make sure, there's a lot of delegating to the older sib. And I'm not judging that. I'm not saying anything good or bad. I'm just saying that's a parent taking charge of like, let me delegate and I don't need to do everything. And in fact, if maybe they see it as, if they're helping each other, then that's good, right? That's a bonding moment. And that's a core memory that my older kid gets to have with her younger sibling. And that's important, right? That this is also happening. It's not just me, mom, everything, but actually like creating bonds with the siblings, right? And then creating bonds with the father in the scenario, right? The dad of those kids, and making sure that there's adequate time for that. And so this lets you off the hook, right? Because you've got these reliable people, these family members. And then if you're thinking about your village, curating your village, and it's a nanny or a babysitter or a tutor, right? You're kind of like, okay, well, I'm off the hook here because I've hired this out. Or your part of your village are the grandparents. So you got grandparents coming in. And my sister-in-law would say there's a grandparent tax, though. There's a grandparent tax because you might not think you were raised all that perfectly, right? Your upbringing was all that perfect. And there are some things about in your parenting that you would do differently based on how you were parented, right? So you don't want to do that, but the grandparents don't know that, and they don't know everything that you're trying to change about your childhood and give it to your kids. So they're going to come with their own ideas and their own scenarios. And so that's the grandparent tax. They're going to think things, you came out fine. So I'm just going to do that again. I'm going to give them ding dongs and Twinkies and, call it a day. Thankfully that was not my experience, or at least it my dad passed away last year. He would probably be the one to buy some Twinkies for sure, but he didn't get that far. But my mom, is not going to be the one that buys Twinkies. But these are like the ideas, right? The grandparent tax, the things that you kind of have to let go control of, because they're with grandpa, they're with grandma. uh, anyway, this actually leads me to the next mistake that I made, and that was going at any other pace than my own. I had to establish that, I'm not about the hustle, and I was definitely following and hiring coaches who were hustling. And I I know it was because I was still in my doing brain, that my doing, my masculine, especially like just I look back at how I walked through my school career. I was valedictorian because I hustled my way there and I got good grades and I worked late and I did all the things. I was valedictorian of my eighth grade class. Um, then I was like dean's list in college. Uh, I was on something else. I forgot by the time I graduated. Anyway, uh, oh, in high school, yeah. Well, I got into the colleges I want because I was making the grades. I forgot what they called it in high school. I'm totally blanking, but I met the threshold and then I got into my college, the college of my dreams, my number one choice. And anyway, all along the way, right? I'm hustling my way there. And then panic attack because I wasn't hustling hard enough. I wasn't learning fast enough. I wasn't enough in this class. And that was like this hustle mentality still shining through as a new mom of two boys under two, and still trying to hustle my way and finding that I can't hustle like that. But I was still hiring those coaches that were very much telling me to do, go, go, go. And I was like, whoa, I was totally losing sight of like the balance that I wanted with my family because I was down on myself for not being able to go, go, go like they were. And they were in total different boats. Some had older kids completely out of the infant toddler realm. I had one coach who I had hired who had no kids. I had one coach who I hired who um, this was a struggle, who had younger kids than mine. Or I guess we had one similar ages. We had similar aged kids. At least one of our sons were the same age. And then she had a younger, and then my son was a little bit older, my second son. So both, she had a more of a gap. But anyway, and she was still telling me to kind of hustle, hustle, do, do, do. And I recognized the hustle in her life. And I wanted to kind of separate myself and hear her guidance without the hustle undertone. And I will be honest, I didn't hear I couldn't see the separation. I couldn't hear the difference. There was always kind of this idea of this underlying hustle. And so I definitely lost sight of like what I was trying to do, what I was trying to create, because I had lost like that feminine support, the feminine guidance within myself that was my maternal instincts. I even did a video on YouTube about how your maternal instincts are an asset in business. Go watch it. I will try to link it if I remember to. But that you'll see it. You'll see it on the list of videos. But it was it was definitely a contradiction to the lifestyle that I wanted to live. And so while I was hearing kind of this coaching, right, from my mentor, I was like really struggling with implementing that way. And so it ended up that I was kind of, yeah, I was piecemealing kind of what worked, what didn't, and I was applying what definitely served in the feminine and the masculine. So I was still coming back to, my yoga. I was still coming back to my meditation and my journaling. And even to this day, I would say what gets me out of insomnia, let's say, because, back in the day, especially when you're nursing and you're up all night and you're not really sleeping necessarily consistently, like you're waking. So I was at one point waking up every 2 hours to nurse. Well, in those times, sometimes you can't get back to sleep, or maybe eventually, like on your second kid, you're like nursing with your boob out and you're just like, go ahead and nurse. And I just can still stay sleeping. That was advice of my sister, to do that. And it definitely worked. And we would like co-sleep. And it was a lot easier those times. But if I was in a state where I just could not go back to sleep, I did not get back on my phone, I would journal. And that was like total game changer, because when I would journal, I would unload and unleash and unfurl, like all just the venting was just all over. And I could sleep. And just being able to like vent to someone who I trusted was so key. Um, and that was just, God or me, I was just letting it all out. I was talking to the version of myself that is beyond this. And she's like looking back and having such compassion and holding space for me to kind of go through this. And my late nights, or my not late nights necessarily, they're more like I get up in the middle of the night and I can't go back to sleep. And so I know I have to journal. And those are different times of the month, if you catch my drift. So when am faced with that kind of insomnia, I know that, okay, my tool is to just let it all out and not hold it in, and ask myself the questions that are really hard, and come face to face with like my biggest fears. Um, and my and really a lot of times like the dream life scenario that right now, while it doesn't look that way, I want to have, right? So there was that. And that's still a tool I call on to this day. I definitely recommend it to all my clients, and even if you're not a client, I recommend it here. And that would definitely get me back on track. I could go back to sleep, wake up refreshed the next day. Um, this brings me to the last mistake that I made as a new mompreneur. This idea of like me journaling to that next version of myself, or the version who has the balance in business and babies that I am striving to have, right? When I talk to her, then I'm like, oh, okay, I recognize that. And so that was an up leveling. So I wish that while I was hiring, maybe I didn't hire maybe those coaches, maybe I found that leveling up in my identity first really brought about all the changes that I wanted to see. Because when I did operate as my next level mompreneur self, everything came with it. And life became so much easier and more grand and more beautiful and more enjoyable. Motherhood became more enjoyable because I am her. I am her. I am the mom that has the balance of business and babies. I am her. And I'm making the space. And while it might feel heavy some days when maybe, Johnny's homesick and I'm like, unable to take all the calls that I have to do, or I am, but just maybe, it's with like the disclaimer that, hey, Johnny's homesick. So just know that if I get interrupted, we'll extend the call or something like that. There's always an out. There's always a way to still deliver on the service that you promise, but maybe with a little caveat, right? But not an apology, just a shift, right? Just a shift. And that is why normalizing like the nursing on camera and things like that, not like I was exposed or anything. I was definitely modest, but those kinds, normalizing that way of life, this is your new normal, recognizing that, hey, this is how it is, and it's messy, and it's funny, and it's embarrassing, and that became the new normal. And then from there, it's like, oh, well, then let's do this. Who cares, right? Who cares? And when I step into that, if ever I come back down, I always come back to her because she's got it all figured out, right? She's got the balance. I'm kidding. She's got it all figured out. There's no figuring it out. There's just being, right? There's just being, and I'm being her. And I feel so much joy, so much peace, so much gratitude for the balance that I have. And I would say it was because, like I was telling you, I had the identity crisis of a lifetime, entrepreneur turned mom, and like not being able to go back to those days. Not like I was never really a hustler like that. I always had I always recognized that I wanted life to be easy in business and in just in general. And so there, I definitely had that as my saving grace. But as a new mom, I definitely wasn't going to do like just the flywheel of events and things like that, and have these high expectations on myself. I was definitely tapering those to be more appropriate for the season of life I was in, and continue like that. I continue to balance according to the season of life I'm in, right? I come back to my priorities. I come back to what's most important. I come back to my identity as a mother who has it all. And that is literally a game changer. Again, all these are game changers because you step back into that identity and everything just snaps into place, right? It's like, oh, okay, hold on. Those 5 minutes of just like kind of wallowing in the fact that one, my son is sick and I'm sad about that. And honestly, when they're sick, my whole world's upside down. I feel so much like angst and stress and sadness and despair and helplessness right when they're sick, because it's like, okay, I got to make sure they get well. This is not leading to anything more catastrophic. Like sometimes my brain wants to go, like WebMD might want to tell you, like, oh, this is the warning signs of this. This could lead to that. I definitely want to be advised, though. I definitely want to be educated on what this could mean. So I get it, moms. We are going to go on WebMD and Google and chat and all that to find out, like, could this mean something else? Is this going to lead to that? What's the pathology here? But only with a grain of salt, right? Take it in with a grain of salt, because you ultimately want to use your instincts and your inner guidance to know, like, yeah, this isn't that. So I think it's going to be fine. And they are. They're fine. They're perfectly fine. They get healthy the next day. Beautiful, beautiful thing. But in those 5 minutes of kind of like, oh my gosh, how is this going to disrupt my day? Right? Because Johnny's homesick. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. Then we come back to our techniques, our tools, the things that really help us transform into that next identity, that next level identity. I'm saying next level identity, but it really just identity, right? Identity of the mom who has the balance. And it's like, man, you step into that, you step into those shoes and everything changes. It's like, oh, you see over the problem and that it's all manageable. It's like, oh, oh, I just move these pieces, right, of the puzzle, and everything fits, because you did the work, right? You did the clarity work. You got crystal clear on your priorities, what's most important in this. You got clear on the season of life you're in, actually, too, right? Recognizing that this is the pace I want to go. I want to be available for my son when he's sick. I definitely don't want to leave him at home with a nanny or someone else. I want to be there. I want to be there. That's the pace I'm at, right? And everything else gets to be built around that pace, the pace that I set. Nobody else is steering the ship except me as mother, right? When it comes to my life, granted, when you've got your partner and you're co-parenting and you're doing things for the kids, that's kind of like a mutual pacing of yourself. But there's very much a lot of still driving that you can do. And then also the kids, right? At some point, you want them to drive a little bit. And so you like, okay, get in the passenger seat here. But all the while, your pace was the um, I guess the determining factor of you being able to get in the passenger seat. Does that resonate? Your pace determines whether you can get in the back seat or the passenger seat or step out of the car entirely. Like, you are the say in that, the person who says yay or nay. And this actually leads to so many other things that I started to do as a result of like stepping into this identity, my boundaries, what I say yes and no to, who I let into my life, who I let into my home, right? What energy are they bringing? All of this matters, right? It matters to me. It matters to me. And so therefore, it sets my pace. And so this is how I know that, okay, I'm on track here. Do I feel balanced and at ease when all this is kind of happening and I'm calm, cool, collected? Then okay, I'm her. I got this. I can do this. We can do this. We can go on at a different time, right? And have a master class when it worked in my schedule, and then go live, whatever, on YouTube. And it works. It works, right? This is how it works for me. And I set myself up to go this easy in my business and in life when I made that shift as a new mompreneur. I made that shift, and everything else was made easier. It started to go with my flow instead of me trying to go with someone else's flow that wasn't quite fitting and, square peg in a round hole, that kind of thing. And even for my kids, like trying to make them into something that they're maybe they don't want to be, like stepping back and observing more instead of controlling and telling them who they got to be and how they got to be, like stepping back, right? There's my pace again. I'm able to recognize that, oh, this is not yours to control, right? This is also their life to live. And how are you going to, as they get into teenage years and all the angst and who knows what that's going to be like, and what's your pace then, right? And as they leave the nest and you're an empty nester, they're in college or have their families of their own, and what's your pace like then, right? And all of these changes, and they'll continue to change life, all these changes, what happens to you, right? It's not a crisis if you have clarity. And that is definitely the takeaway that I want for you to have from this masterclass today. Balance for me came from knowing that there is room for both business and babies, but in a different way. I definitely did business differently, and I continue to do business differently. I think moms need to do business differently, and it starts with rethinking business. And when you rethink something, you think new thoughts, you believe in new ways, and you write a new story, and that allows the balance to come. But if you're stuck in kind of the limiting beliefs, the limitation, the lack, the scarcity, that is literally hindering the balance that you seek. It's literally hindering the abundance that you seek. It's hindering the flow that you seek for life to be easy and you to take inspired action in your business and have it actually move the needle and it to be like monumental, right? That move that you made was like, whoa. And you thought you only had 20 minutes that day. And the thing you did that 20 in those 20 minutes that you had during Johnny's nap time, the thing you did right then was actually the thing that catapulted your business forward and got you 5 new clients, high ticket, paid in full clients. These are the realities, right? That come from that level of clarity. I'm saying it from my own experience, and I definitely see it in my clients. I see the transformation and the stories, right? That they come back and they're like, oh man, what a revelation. What a revelation that I didn't have to give into that. And not even just entrepreneurs, but career moms, right? The revelations that they're coming back to me with. Like, I had this happen, or I said no to my boss about this, thinking that I might get fired. I'm playing with fire here, that I might lose my steady paycheck, right? My stability. And I didn't, right? Because I just kind of put my foot down. I know what my priorities are, and that wasn't it. And so I didn't take that on. And so it allowed me this freedom with my kids and all that. And I know that the promotion, let's say, is going to be later, or I know that that promotion wasn't for me because it's just not going to work in this season of life. Like my priority is here, at home, maybe, and maybe in one case in particular, I remember one mom telling me that she didn't take the promotion, but it was good because she knows that the promotion would come later, right? She kind of knows that that's kind of a reoccurring promotion for her position. And so she's like, I didn't take it right now because my kids are still young and I want to be flexible. And right now I can work from home. If I take that promotion, I have to go back into the office. And it's like, yeah, work from home is part of the flexibility that we seek for sure. I mean, for me, when Johnny's homesick, and I don't have a son named Johnny, I'm just using Johnny because it's a cool sample name. When Johnny's homesick, like I'm home, right? And I'm able to be home and I'm able to do the things. Grant, I remember dragging my son when he was still home on his second day to Costco because I was like, we still have to get groceries. So you're going to come with me. You're not going to touch anything. You're going to come with me. And he was in the cart and I was just doing my shopping and he's with me. And we were really fast so that he could get back home and get in his jammies again and rest. But it's fun, it's exciting, it's also nerve-wracking and scary and that kind of thing, take having these responsibilities, having a responsibility for these lives, right? Not only at home, but in your business, right? These clients that you serve, that you produce products for, that you want to do your best for, are depending on you, right? They paid you money for a thing, and you're going to deliver on that thing, right? So it feels very important, and it is, right? Not necessarily to take yourself so seriously, because it's so important that it requires you to like perform and be a kind of way you're not, inherently and instinctively and intuitively, because you're trying to be someone you're not. And this goes back to all of, I think, all of the mistakes that I spoke to today. Like, if you're not being true to you, there's definitely going to be a disconnect, and you're going to find yourself in the hustle and the grind on a regular basis. So I don't wish that for you. If you like this idea of me as your thought partner, the way to have that happen is to come into my mastermind, the mastermind for entrepreneur moms. We specifically are masterminding together as peer entrepreneur moms doing the same thing. And everybody's at different levels, as far as their, if they're starting or scaling their business, maybe they're pivoting in their business, maybe they're scaling because they're charging higher prices, but actually realizing that they're over delivering maybe in some regard. And so they can kind of scale back what they provide, and they simplify their process and their output, but they're still able to charge more because it's so much more niche. Maybe it's so much more poignant and powerful a transformation that they're offering, because they got clear on what they actually want to do instead of just doing this commodity job and being a technician for their clients. They got really clear on what they actually want to do. And a lot of clients of mine will write books. They'll go on to speak on stages, so keynote speaker. They will, yeah, social media influencers. They go on to just talk about what it is they want to talk about, share their message, and they become influencers. And this is the kind of thing, like, if you know and you have crystal clear clarity on what it is that you want to do, but not only what you want to do, but how you want to live, and that, because that serves, right? You want what you do to serve how you want to live, not the other way around. Then you can make a way, and you can make a business out of any desire that you have, any dream that you can dream up. If you can dream it, you can achieve it. If you can see it in your mind's eye, you can achieve it. And so if you want a thought partner to kind of remind you of where to simplify, how to scale so that it doesn't require more of you, you're actually scaling and it's going to require less of you, or you're pivoting in business, like, what is it that I actually want to do? Uh, or you have a book inside you and you're like, what is that book about? What do I really want to say? What's my message here? Getting crystal clear on that. And all the while you're doing that and you're in your element here, and whatever is happening still at home is still applies, right? Because you don't want to be a stressed out entrepreneur at home with your kids, and you don't want to be a stressed out mom with your clients. You want to be, you want to be you in all regard. Like, you want to be you in all different facets and all different environments, in front of all different audiences. You want to be you. And so that's a desire, right? That you want to be you as both mom and entrepreneur, having a thought partner. And this is probably the ultimate mistake I made, was not having this. And because I didn't have this early on, and I was kind of chasing just the therapy, right? The talk therapy, or I who, ended up telling me to go on the medication. And I was like, that doesn't jive with where I want to be. You actually have a lane you want to stay in, right? You have truths that you want to hold fast to, and that doesn't jive with me. Um, Imagine, right, having a thought partner that's finding that that is still possible, right, for you, that you can have that dream and not give up on any part of yourself, right? I definitely wish I had that. And so that is why I offer this. And it comes inside the mastermind. Not only is the mastermind me as your thought partner, you getting real time one-on-one with time with me, accountability and everything, right? Just coaching, mentorship on everything that you want to build, and building it the way you want to build it. Having a business that is built around you living your dream life, right? Leaving you time to do all the things that you want to do with this great, amazing business that's sustaining your perfect life, right? Perfect life. I say perfect because we don't want to have these kind of like ideals that leave you still stuck in this performance and this perfectionism that has you hustling to get there. So, perfect, I think, really can be had. There is this idea that we are just all perfect as we come, as we are. You're perfect. I absolutely believe that you are perfect just as you are. And we're just letting the world know it in your marketing and in your promotion. But anyway, if that sounds like something that you want to find your way, find your flow, and have everything just support you living that dream life, then this is what the mastermind is all about. Yes, there's courses. We have the course that's attached to it. Yes, we have the weekly accountability. Yes, we have the real-time one-on-one chat on WhatsApp with me, so you have access to me like that. And yes, we have our weekly calls and our monthly Clarity Hot Seats. And yes, we have our in-person accelerator events where you're gonna do in 2 days what most people take, what, 3 months to get done, or you're gonna get done in 6 months what most people never do there in their entire life. They're just in the winching and the wondering and the hoping and the praying. You're actually getting it done, and you're gonna see this amazing shift in your life, not only in your business but in your life. Right? I believe you should build a dream business to support you living your dream life. And so this is where it begins because, I mean, there is no limit, right? And there's no limit for you or your kids. And so as you start to, point them to their dreams fulfilled, then you're going to see that, okay, well, there's even less time, right? You think toddlers, aren't giving you much of your time back. Well, imagine when they're in their extracurriculars and they found a sport they love or a hobby they love or an instrument they love, and they're playing it, and they need to go to recitals and rehearsals, and they need to go to soccer tournaments across the pond. Then things get real. Things get real, and you think scheduling is rough now. Like, scheduling then is going to be crazy. But you can still do it. You can still do it, and you can still make it happen. You can still make the plane flight feel effortless, and not even if you have to get on your laptop on that flight, and all of the things, right? All the things that could happen, canceled flights, whatever, all the wrenches that could get thrown into your plan, you could still be her that has the balance, that has the flow, has the ease, and is moving in the most effortless way, and still getting the most important things done in her day. And this is my ultimate joy, not only to have it in my own life, but to see it in other moms, because I know that a mom who's happy and fulfilled and thriving is raising kids who are the same. And I have such a love for kids, not only for moms, but for these babies, these precious babies of ours, also finding and making a way in their lives. And I just want them to have the ultimate um, life experience, and all the opportunities that we can muster, right? That we can afford them access, that we can provide for them into the rooms that they want to be in. Imagine you're helping them get there, and that sets it off for them as far as like all of their dreams. That's a legacy. Okay, first of all, you're not building a business, you're building a legacy. If that's your goal, like it is mine, you're building a legacy, my love. Okay. And I'm here to help. I'm going to put the link to apply for the mastermind. With the application for the mastermind, you can also apply to get on a call with me, a free complimentary call. And here's my promise to you that on this call, even if we decide that the mastermind's not for you, you're going to walk away with something. And it's going to be a launch plan. I call it a clarity launch plan. It's for the next 90 days so that you can exactly be crystal clear on the next move you need to make in your business. Not need to make, but if you want to level up, if you want to have this business like launch and be solid in the marketplace, and like, okay, my shingle's out, I'm open for business, this is what I'm doing, and everything starts to flow from that movement right there, then you're going to want this launch plan. You're going to absolutely want this launch plan. Not only you're going to get it in the mastermind and we start to flesh it out and move with it, and you have the accountability alongside me for it, But you're going to have this launch plan, even if you don't move forward with me. You're going to have this launch plan. It's going to tell you from within, not me telling you, but you're going to know without the shadow of a doubt, this is for me. This is where I'm going. Oh my gosh, this was the missing piece. This is where I wanted to go all along. And look, I spent so many years like just flailing. Um, that stops on a call with me. We're going to get really clear on what it is you want to do. Right. If you want to go after this dream business of yours, what is that business? And then how would you launch it? And if you've already launched and you're like running it and you maybe think it's like, whoa, this is burnout central. I'm so burned out. I can't imagine doing my business anymore. We're going to simplify it. That's going to be your launch plan. It's kind of like a relaunch. And so just some ideas on really what this means. I think we hear, oh, get on a call with me, and it's like, maybe later. But moms can't afford to do business the same way anymore. It's taking their time away, the joy away. It's stealing their energy. It's causing burnout. It's causing imbalance and inflammation in the body. If you are burnt out up here, there's something also happening as a consequence in your body. If you're holding stress for too long and you're not releasing that in your body, then it's going to turn into dis-ease and disease. And so obviously where we want to that's what we want to mitigate, right? With balance and ease and flow. We want to have our health again, right? We want our postpartum body to be healthy, happy, whole. We want to feel like, oh man, I still got a pep in my step, even though I'm carrying these two kids. um, yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Uh, but anyway, we can't afford to just let our energy be leaked, you know, like we have plenty of it, right? Our bandwidth is our bandwidth. And how are we spending our time? What's going inside of our bandwidth? How are we feeling our time? And what is it making us feel as a result, right? How is that affecting us as mothers? And I believe if it's not working to help you be the best mother you can be, that you know that you want to be, not anybody else telling you, that we're not comparing here. This is what you want. If it's not helping you be the mother you want to be, it's not working. And so at any point, we can relaunch our business to be more simple, to be more streamlined, to be more sustainable and actually make money, not a hobby that's costing more than it's making you. Like, we want our business to be sustainable, to serve us in just propelling us forward, and not only to be the source of our prosperity, let's say, it starts as the source of prosperity, but then so much opens up as far as like investment and opportunity and things like that that compound your money. But anyway, not only like the source of that revenue, that income, that prosperity that you seek, but also like just the source of fulfillment and finding yourself and enjoying. Whoa, I'm meeting new people. I am in new rooms. I have so much more opportunity because I did this thing. I'm doing this. I'm known as this in the marketplace. And look it, I'm just attracting my audience. They're coming to me in droves, right? Claim this for yourself. They're seeing my content and it's like done. Okay. Well, I can't pay you fast enough. I want that for you. Okay. And I think I'll leave it at that. I'll put the link in to apply for one, a clarity launch plan, if nothing else. And then two, to see if the masterminds for you will kind of dissect that and see if that's going to work. And then we'll move forward. Because yeah, this is definitely a litmus test for both of us, right? I want to see if you're right for the program. I'll be honest, full disclaimer. And then you also want to see if we gel, if we vibe, if this is the coach for you. Because that's really, really important. Take it from me, having hired the hustling coach and being like, not for me, not for me anymore, not in this season of my life, not as a mother. Mm-mm. No thanks. No thanks. All right. I will see you in the next masterclass or on any of my videos. And then every Thursday, we go live here on YouTube for the Clarity Hotline. Ask me all your real life, juiciest, hottest questions, the questions that just are confounding you, the most confusing questions, the questions that maybe you've had for years and years unanswered. We're going to answer them on the Clarity Hotline. I will see you in all these different ways. Thanks for joining me. Peace. let's end it here. And I know if I end it a little bit too soon on uh, Zoom, that, thanks, guys. Thanks for reminding me. If I end it too soon on Zoom, then it cuts off our YouTube stream to choppy. It's choppy. So I wanted to definitely leave some time for Zoom to shut out and then YouTube